Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Nice day here today, and it was warm, very warm for today. Christ, I was wearing my spring coat and I was sweating in the goddamn thing. I mean, it was just crazy how fucking warm it was today, and the sun was out. I mean, there was a few clouds out there, but it was pretty sun. It was pretty good sun out there, and so I really enjoyed the day. But anyway, I have a couple of videos here, and this first video has to deal with how Wall Street is very nervous right now about Trump. And the market has been on a downward spiral here for days now, and people are getting concerned that this is the beginning of something that's going to get worse as time goes on, especially after Trump is sworn in. So let's go to the video here, and then we'll come back and I'll discuss on the other end.
The stock market absolutely hates Donald Trump, his erratic behavior, his threats, the ridiculous cabinet picks. I mean, there were 8 straight days where the Dow has been down. That hasn't happened since, wait a minute, when Trump was in office in 2018. And if it's the 9th straight day, what's that, like since the 1970s? Great work, Donald. Even when Donald showed up at the New York Stock Exchange last week, he had his whole propaganda crew, his cabinet was there. All of the major indexes were down when Trump was there. I thought he said that he's got the golden touch. Nope, he's got the Midas touch, not the Midas touch at all. Let's just take a look at what's going on here so you can see for yourself. And this happens at a time where Treasuries 10-year yields may climb to 6% for the first time in more than 2 decades, as people like T. Rowe Price and other financial analysts are saying that they expect the United States fiscal woes to accelerate and that Donald Trump's policies will keep inflation elevated. This comes at a time where the Wall Street Journal's main headline is Americans are stockpiling to get ahead of tariffs. Consumers are snapping up computer parts, vacuum cleaners, coffee and olive oil before the levies take effect. Folks, you realize you didn't have to do this to yourself. I mean, do you enjoy the pain? You want to inflict pain? It didn't have to actually be this way. And so now you have to stockpile your toilet paper and all of these things because the prices are going to go up. But wait a minute, I thought your whole central premise was that on day one with his accordion hands, like a miracle, it was all going to go away. Well, didn't he say that before? That was about COVID. He said it again, like a miracle, he's going to get the prices down. And now he goes on Meet the Press and goes, it's very hard. He tells Time Magazine, very, very hard. Not sure I have the ability to do that. Remember, he went to the New York Stock Exchange and he was given the softball of softball questions by propagandist, bogus business host Jim Cramer. Should the American workers, Mr. President, invest in the stock market? Should they be putting their money in the stock market? You're at the stock market. Clearly, he wants you to say yes. Your entire campaign was, even though Biden's stock market 60% better than your first term, that you were going to miraculously, make it even better than it was? Trump's response is, I don't know if workers should invest in the stock market, huh? Trump goes on to say, well, what if there's a dip and then people lose their money? You're talking about a dip and losing their money. You're also telling Kristen Welker that you don't think you can get the prices down. You also don't have a health care plan? Huh? I don't know. Maybe this should be what corporate media is focused on each and every single day. Dow heads for the 9th straight loss. Stock futures fall as Fed meeting kicks off. Yeah, the Fed's looking at inflation and going, wait a minute. All of Donald Trump's threats to Mexico and Canada and the BRICS bloc of Brazil and India and South Africa, and China, that's going to make inflation high. We can't lower interest rates if inflation's going to keep on rising. Just think about that. Let's just take a look at what T. Rowe Price is saying about the Treasury yields may climb to 6%. Here's what T. Rowe says. They say the following. Treasury 10-year yields may climb to 6% for the first time in more than 2 decades as U.S. fiscal woes worsen and Trump's policies help keep inflation elevated. The benchmark yield may first reach 5% in the first quarter of 2025 before potentially climbing further. Arif Hussain, chief investment officer of fixed income, wrote in his report. Hussain is doubling down on calls for higher yields, citing persistent U.S. budget deficits as Trump cuts taxes during the second presidency, as well as potential tariffs and immigration policies that would sustain price pressures. Is a 6% 10-year Treasury yield possible? Why not? But we can consider that when we move through 5%, wrote Hussain, who helps the money manager oversee $187 billion. The transition period in U.S. politics is an opportunity to position for increasing longer-term Treasury yields, he says. So I told you the other Wall Street Journal headline, right? American stockpiling to get ahead of tariffs. Consumers snapping up computer parts, vacuum cleaners, coffee, and olive oil before the levies take effect. Tariff-conscious consumers are stockpiling goods and rushing to upgrade old cars and appliances to get ahead of potential price increases. A quarter of Americans surveyed said it was a good time for major purchases as they expect prices to go up next year, up from 10% a month prior and a record high, according to the University of Michigan's monthly survey of consumers. And a third of the 2,000 people surveyed recently by creditcards.com said they were buying more now because they feared tariffs. Y'all voted for the guy to inflict suffering on you, and you said you were voting for him for the opposite reason. Now you put him in charge, and now you're saying that you're suffering, and you're upset about that, and now you have to stockpile. Can someone please somehow make this make sense to me? But it's okay, everybody. Guess what? Because Elon Musk, he's going to fix it. I'm being sarcastic. Elon Musk writes, there is a large graveyard filled with my enemies. I do not wish to add to it, but will, if given no choice. Those who pick fights with me do so at their own peril. But maybe this is their lucky day. What the hell is this? That's someone who's acting as a co-president right now, just out there making threats like that each and every day. But guys, guess what, everybody? Republicans are optimistic for 2025. To me, the biggest red flag is that Republicans are optimistic for 2025, where it seems prices are going to go up. It kind of tells you where things are going to be heading. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying, it magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Think about all the bad experiences you've had with mobile providers in the past. Complicated bills, upcharges that you never thought were going to to be there. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. And all plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. So, to get this new customer offer here at the Midas Touch Network and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Midas. That's mintmobile.com/Midas. Make sure you spell it right. MEIDAS. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Midas. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 GB on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobiles for detail. Here's what The Independent is writing about, citing 2 different studies. Trump's mass deportation plan could hurt the country more than the Great Recession report says. Mass deportations could lead to a 7.4% drop in the GDP, meaning the U.S. economy would not grow at all during Trump's second term. The report says, I don't know. What is something that hurts more than a Great Recession? I don't know. Does it start with a D? Could it be a Great Depression? Is that the words that you're trying to say? Let's just take a look at some of these reports. The American Immigration Council estimates that if the U.S. deported 1 million people each year until the country no longer had an undocumented population, it could lead to a 4.2% to a 6.8% loss in GDP. To put this in context, the economy shrank by 4.3% during the Great Depression. Here's another one. Estimates from the Peterson Institute for International Economics showed an even grimmer economic consequence after analyzing how the deportation of 8.3 million undocumented immigrants would impact the U.S. economy. The think tank found that the GDP would be 7.4% lower by 2028. This 7.4% reduction in GDP over 4 years would likely mean that the U.S. economy would not grow at all during the second term. Employment would also be 7% lower by the end of Trump's term, the Institute found, and 44,000 U.S.-born workers would lose their job. So if you want to talk about specific industry sectors like construction, agriculture, healthcare, and hospitality, Trump's proposed mass deportations would remove up to 1.5 million workers from the construction industry, 225,000 from agriculture, 1 million from hospitality, 870,000 from manufacturing, and 461,000 from transportation, warehousing. Seriously? Seriously. So I wonder why Wall Street looks at this and goes, wait a minute, things may be grim. But then why is it that they're saying all these things and trying to pump it up? Because they want to pump it, they want to dump it, they want to tax shelter it, they want their tax cuts, and they want to keep us in this loop, have a Democratic administration fix it, but then blame the Democratic administration that fixed it, blame the firefighter for putting out the fire, bring back in the arsonist, plunder, pillage, rinse, repeat. That is the strategy of the oligarchy. And that's what we call out here on the Midas Touch Network. People are pissed, but direct your pissedness in the right direction. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers together. We appreciate it.
Elections have consequences, okay? And, you know, the funny thing is, and maybe it's not funny, but it's strange. I mean, MAGA has been saying for months that, you know, big business is good, right? I mean, they've been out there, you know, backing Trump and all the stuff that he's talking about, cutting taxes on us. You know, they're out there applauding it. So they think, you know, that's good. And at the same time now, these people that they, you know, cheer on having tax cuts, now they're out there showing that, you know, they don't have any confidence or any trust in Trump right now because they don't like his economic policies. And they don't like the idea of him trying to start a goddamn trade war here with different countries. So they're, you know, it's making them nervous. It's shaking the foundation, and MAGA is like, you know, they're just following wherever the hell Trump goes, and whatever Trump does is okay with them. So one minute they're for these people, the next minute they're not, only because, you know, they're following, they're hanging on to Trump's coattails. And, you know, you would think that they would be pissed off, or, you know, or trying to say or make excuses or become apologists for Wall Street, but they're not. They're just staying quiet, and they're still cheering on Trump. But, you know, it's like what I said in the previous video, until the problem hits their front door, they're not going to care. You know, they don't care now. They still think that's not going to happen. These people really think that Trump knows what he's doing, okay? And he's never shown any aptitude for business in his fucking career, okay? What he's good at is swindling people out of their fucking money. That's what he's good at. You don't have to be a businessman to accomplish that. There's been a lot of people over the years who have swindled millions of dollars from people and just ran off and tried to disappear into some tropical island somewhere to never be found. Okay? It happens all the time. Doesn't mean these people are any good at business. They just know how to fuck people over. Okay? So Trump is not a businessman, even though, you know, he's tried different ventures, which all of which failed, but he's not a very good businessman. And when you start off with a shitload of money and you can buy attorneys and judges and shit like that, that's what I call cheating. It's like playing Monopoly and you have like a stack of money a mile high behind you. Okay, but you're still bothering with playing Monopoly. Okay, and it's like, you know, he can make all the mistakes he wants and he still has enough backup money to keep him going for forever, you know. Well, that's Trump. You know, he's playing Monopoly, but he fucks up, and he still has money to fucking recover, and he just keeps on going. And so that's why I say he's not a very good businessman. If it wasn't for the money, he'd be a pauper out on the fucking street, a homeless man, which is where he really belongs. Maybe he can learn some humility that way if he lost everything he has. You know, and people are out there buying up all kinds of fucking goods and everything. You know, I don't know how, I mean, unless you got a warehouse the size of a grocery store, we're talking about 4 years here at the maximum that, you know, we're going to be dealing with high prices. Now, unless the Democrats can do something if they, in the midterms, and gain control of the houses, then, you know, maybe they might be able to do something, but until that, I mean, at least we're looking at 2 years minimum for the next 2 years, and then 4 years, two more after that. So we could be looking at a 4-year spell. I mean, can you buy enough cheap goods right now to last you for 4 years? Of course not. Okay, especially if you live in an apartment like I do. The thing is, people, you're gonna have to bite into the sandwich, the sandwich you created. All right. You're going to have to end up paying the piper. You can't avoid it by buying stuff today for tomorrow and for next year and for the year after that, okay? Your food will spoil by then, okay? So I don't know why people are out there buying up water, toilet paper, medicines, you know, and food and stockpiling and buying whatever the hell else they think they're going to need, okay? You're just, what you're doing is you're overspending already. Okay, by buying stuff that you're not really needing at the moment. Okay, you're hoarding is what you're doing. And that's what we was doing during COVID, and that's why the shelves were all bare in the stores, is because people were hoarding. They were panicking. They were hoarding. If they'd have just bought normally, like they're supposed to do, there wouldn't have been much change in what was out on the shelves. Okay, if people just shopped regularly like they were doing, okay, then the impact on the stores would have been minimal. But instead, people got scared, they panicked, they hoarded, they took more than they needed, okay? And that they left very little for everybody else. And so stores like our grocery store here had to put limits on how many things of this you can buy and how many that. They had to force people to you know, to ration They had to force people to just buy only what you need and not more, okay? Everybody's got to get something here, okay? So, like I said, we do that. We have a habit of doing that. We panic. We go out there and we buy, and at the end of the day, you're still going to end up having to buy to replace what you've used. So not only are you paying a lot now to hoard, you're going to pay a lot after that to restock. So you're already starting to deplete your fucking money already. Okay? So why fall into that? You know, if you're worried about, you know, food not being there, don't worry about it. Because the food is going to be there. You'll just pay more for it. Okay? You're just going to have to adjust what you buy and buy cheaper things, less of certain things, and only when you need it. Okay? The things, the basics that you need every day, you can buy, you know, and you'll always need, but, you know, some other things when people really don't need it, okay, you're going to have to put that on hold for now, okay? You're just going to have to say no. And that's basically what we all did during the COVID thing, is we had to look, bargain shop, basically, get where we could get stuff that's cheaper. And, you know, we had to buy less of certain things because they were more expensive, okay? That's really all we can do. You know, unless you want to start raising cattle and growing your own farms, I mean, okay, live like they did on Little House on the Prairie. I mean, unless you want to go that route, okay, you won't feel the impact that way. But for the rest of us who live in the cities and stuff, we're completely dependent on, you know, the grocery stores to get those supplies. We don't have property to make gardens and stuff like that. But I think, you know, if you live in a home and you got property around it, you know, it would be good to grow things. I got a friend in Idaho that does that. Very good at it, you know, and you know, she's smart. And a lot of people ought to take example of that, you know. There's ways you can grow things, even if you live, you know, in an apartment or something like that. You know, you can bring indoor things to grow. You know, set up a table in your kitchen, and you can just put these what do they call them? They look like little narrow trays. Fill them with soil, and you can put seeds. You can grow certain vegetables in that. Okay, I've seen them at Walmart. Okay, you could bring them in the house. You can put lamps over them to give them light. Water them just like anything else. You know, and you know, I've seen things. You know, Christ, it's not impossible to try and cut corners and save money. Okay. But of course, you know, you need to leave money aside, you know, for medicines and stuff, which are even more important than that. So, you know, when people get sick and stuff, medicines are not cheap. Even when the economy is doing well, medicines are not cheap. So you need to think about that. Somebody gets sick, you know, if I got enough medicine here, you know, it's just you have to start thinking in survival mode here, because that's where Trump is going to lead this country. While the rich have all the fucking luxuries and everything that they need, they're taking away from us our ability to be able to survive here. You know, and I don't know how long that's going to take for people to get sick and tired of that and start to do something about it. But, you know, maybe, you know, if people lived across the street, like one side of the street is all the rich people, and across the road it's all the middle and poor. You know, maybe if people saw that and they could see with their own eyes, you know, the income disparity, you know, the scale of how much wealth they got over there and how we got very little. I mean, you know, you can't really hide that. I can't remember where in England they used to have a setup like that, and they built a wall between the rich people and the commoners. Okay, a stone. It was all made out of stone. It was a wall. It was built like that, so they wouldn't have to see the paupers on the other side of the wall. Okay, you know, it was some fucking documentary I was watching on TV about that from, you know, days long ago. But you know, it's probably how it started, where we have communities now for only the rich people. I saw that when I went to Washington D.C. They got neighborhoods over there that are basically homes and stuff for the politicians that live close to the, you know, the Capitol and all that. And it's not far from there. It's maybe like 10 miles, 8, you know, whatever. It's not far. And they live in these nice big, you know, multi-storied homes and shit like that. They all look the same. And that's basically, you know, where a lot of these people live. But you can tell they're well-to-do, and, you know. So, you know, it's crazy that, you know, people are really getting upset here because Wall Street isn't kissing Trump's ass by, you know, making it look like things are going good. They ain't gonna lie for your sake, MAGA. They're not gonna doctor the numbers just so that way you can brag about, oh, you know, Biden can't do. We had the best economy under Biden while he was president. Okay, Trump will never be able to touch that under him. He will never be able to reach the same level of success with the stock market that Biden had created under his presidency. Okay, we were making records almost every week. We were hitting new levels of high. You know, things were moving in this country. He got us out of the fucking doldrums of the Trump administration. Okay, he dug us out of that fucking pit, and even though he gets very little credit for it, okay, and people would rather shit on him, the truth is in the pudding. Okay, the facts are there, and, you know, I know people won't even bother to look it up because they just would rather believe the narrative that's being pushed around, you know, in the dregs of society. But, you know, that's what's going on. And, you know, Trump right now, he ain't even sworn in yet, and he's already made an impact on the status of our economy. It's falling. Okay, it's already falling. You know, soon we're going to be feeling the pinch here. So, what can I say? You know, it's just, it's ridiculous. All right, let's go to a commercial break.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This
This
is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
How stupid are the people of Iowa? How stupid are the people of the country?
We have people that are stupid. There's something wrong with them. And there's something wrong with her, too. She's slow, low IQ. She's a low IQ individual. Low IQ individuals. Well, you know, you think they're stupid, and they are really pretty dumb. Stupid. She didn't know where the hell she was going. Does she drink? Is she on drugs? Some of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. A terrible, stupid person. And he's stupidly, because he's a stupid guy, too. He's a stupid son of a bitch. We have a guy who's a dumb son of a bitch.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay?
The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals.
Root out
The communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country.
But do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle? There has to be some form of punishment. For the woman? Yeah, there has to be some form.
Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. Now, we're a failing country. We are a failing nation. We are a nation in decline. We are a nation in decline. We are a failed nation. The American dream is dead.
Have you guys ever heard of the game show Pyramid? It's one of my personal favorites. It's when you have a team of 2 players and one person sits there yelling out clues and the other person has to guess the topic. For example, if I sat here and started saying things like 1940s, 1950s, hip replacement, throat cancer, your answer would probably be something like residence at a nursing home. Pretty logical response, right? But what if I told you you'd be wrong? And the real answer is people making big decisions in the Democratic Party after losing a major election and still refusing to change things up a little bit. AOC was defeated by Jerry Connolly in a battle for the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. Connolly hinged his case on experience and his political ability, including arguing that he helped make Virginia a blue state and was also the first person ever to be served a Coca-Cola. AOC emphasized her far-reaching public platform, her ability to communicate, and her energetic support for colleagues in recent congressional elections. Meanwhile, Democrats like Representative Emanuel Cleaver supported Connolly and justified his vote, saying he's been the ranking member in waiting. Now, let's say you own your own company and for some reason you still have an employee there who's working well into his 70s. Are you really giving him a promotion because he's good at what he does? Or is it more like giving your old dog chocolate before you take him to the vet to be put down? He earned it. And of course, who was behind the scenes pushing really hard for Connolly to get the vote? Nancy Pelosi. God damn it, Nancy. You remind me of that nightmare mother-in-law that gets really mad at her son's wife for wanting to start new holiday traditions. 'Cause you just can't give it up, can you? You just can't accept that maybe there's a new generation that needs to take over. Like you see when you hear her giving ideas like, hey, why don't we all wear ugly Christmas sweaters? Because you still want everyone to get dressed up in velour and plaid. It's tradition. Nancy, voters really don't give a shit over how long someone's been in Congress. We don't really look at those things when it comes to casting our vote. That's not a reason to justify doing the same old thing. If that was the case, we would have nominated you for Queen of the Land. But we haven't. We all collectively agree that it's time for you to retire, not keep going. It's kind of like when I look at the Backstreet Boys still going on tour. Yes, you were a very big deal a long time ago. A trailblazer. And while, yes, you still have people in the crowd cheering you on, that's a very small group in comparison to what you once had. But now, watching you perform on stage just makes us sad. And younger artists are filling up the stadiums. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's shit like this for voters like me who will sit there and say it's the same old thing. Because this was the perfect opportunity for Democrats to show the voters that they're willing to change things up, move in a new direction, look towards the newer generation. We're not sitting here screaming, we want the same old thing. And it's little shit like this, which is why you will continue to lose support if you don't stop. This wasn't the hill to die on, Nancy. But apparently it was the one to break your hip on. God damn it, Nancy. Bye.
Good morning, listeners. Hope you didn't oversleep today.
My senses are like half-party. Was embarrassed but stuck with them. Walk out, shoulder down, street ridicule.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Back, everybody. Okay, next video is from iHip News, and they are talking about the settlement that ABC reached with Donald Trump. And before we go to that video, I want to read this article, because the reason why is because the video starts abruptly. When I recorded it, for some reason it seemed like they cut like the first 10, or maybe not the 10, maybe like 5 minutes of the show. For some reason they started the recording late in it, so they don't really explain it. So I'm going to explain it, and then I'll put the video on, and it'll just pick up where I left off. Okay, so this is from CNN Business, okay, written by Brian Stelter, entitled "Why ABC News Settled with Donald Trump for $15 million." George Stephanopoulos ended Sunday's This Week program without any mention of him or ABC News settling Donald Trump's defamation lawsuit against them. The suit was triggered by a segment on, quote, This Week, unquote, but ABC News has not reported on TV its agreement to pay $15 million to Trump's presidential foundation. The quiet approach on air is in keeping with the network's attitude toward the settlement. Quote, this problem needed to go away, unquote, an ABC executive remarked on condition of anonymity. But the speculation about why ABC agreed to settle and why now, and why at such expense, has not gone away. Judging from social media reactions to the news, partisan know-it-alls on the right think the why is obvious. ABC lied about Trump. They say so now the network is being punished accordingly. Some Trump critics on the left are also certain that they know what's going on. They say ABC and parent company Disney are bowing to Trump for craven political purposes. Ultimately, the reasons for the settlement may remain a secret between the two sides, but media lawyers who spoke with CNN said it is rare to see a settlement at this stage of a legal dispute. The lawsuit stemmed from a March 10, 2024 ABC segment in which Stephanopoulos repeatedly said that Trump had been, quote, found liable for rape, unquote, in the E. Jean Carroll civil case. Trump has denied all wrongdoing toward Carroll, but last year a jury found that Trump sexually abused Carroll, sufficient to hold him liable for battery, though it did not find that Carroll proved he raped her. Trump filed suit 1 week after Stephanopoulos' report accusing him of, quote, actual malice, unquote, the high bar that public figures must meet to prove they were defamed. ABC filed a motion to dismiss the case, but in July, Judge Cecilia M. Altonaga rejected those arguments and allowed it to move forward, which meant the network was subjected to the pre-trial discovery process, a fancy way of saying that the anchorman had his emails and other work materials scrutinized. Last week, with a trial date on the books for April, the judge said that ABC must hand over any remaining documents to Trump's legal team right away. She also ordered both Stephanopoulos and Trump to be deposed in the coming days. The settlement means that won't happen. According to court documents, ABC and Trump's team agreed to the settlement terms last Friday. Settlement terms are often kept confidential, but not this time. A court filing on Saturday effectively announced the payout and ABC's apology, enabling Trump's allies to publicly celebrate. Why would they do this now is the question Ken Turkle, a trial attorney at Turkle Kuva Barrios, asked a colleague over the weekend. Turkle, who was representing Sarah Palin in her resurrected defamation suit against the New York Times, said he was merely speculating like other observers, but one obvious possibility is that, quote, perhaps they didn't want to be actively litigating against a sitting president, unquote. Giving the facts as alleged in the parties' respective filings, that's, quote, probably the only thing that looks different, unquote, about this case, he said. Quote, in my experience, when media defendants are unsuccessful at the dismissal stage, unquote, which was in July, quote, they focus on preparing for summary judgment to challenge the legal sufficiency of a plaintiff's claim, unquote, he said. Quote, it begs the question as to why ABC settled before the summary judgment stage, unquote. Turkle also said, quote, you would have to consider, unquote, whether the discovery process unearthed emails or other internal ABC data that damaged the network's case. That's what Eric Erickson, who practiced law before becoming a conservative radio host, said he took away. Quote, no, a $15 million settlement is not the cost of doing business, it is avoiding discovery, unquote, Erickson wrote on X. The funds have been earmarked to a Trump, quote, presidential foundation and museum, unquote, in the future, and one can only imagine how Trump might troll ABC with a, quote, gallery of fake news, unquote, or something similar. Okay, so we'll go to the video now and pick up there.
Which, when I even heard the word a Trump presidential library, it kind of made me sick to my stomach, but that's neither here nor there. They also had to issue a public apology. And what that stems from is George Stephanopoulos said on air that Trump had been held sexually liable for rape. Well, it's splitting hairs because he was found liable for sexual abuse, sexual assault. In New York, the definition of rape is peculiar. So the federal judge in that case said it's rape by all other definitions. So instead of fighting it and going through the judicial process, I guess knowing how litigious Trump is and knowing that he's getting ready to be the next president of the United States, they caved. And it's just one more example of mainstream media not fighting for truth and for continuing to bend the knee. And then I also heard like Jeff Bezos decided to give $1 million to Trump's inauguration. But my question is, all these billionaires are giving all this money. Elon Musk, $220 million. Why can't they fund it? I guess they just want all the billionaires to show we have bent the knee. We are going to give in to Donald Trump. And it makes me sick.
Well, I think first and foremost, legacy media has been bending the knee since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
There has been sane washing, earned media that he's received where he hasn't had to spend nearly as much as the people that he runs against. The fact that he can give these rambling political speeches where he says insane things. And then the headline is Trump sharpens his speech on the economy. And it's like, no, he was rambling. He was incoherent. So I'm not surprised that ABC News did this. But the one thing, all of these roads lead to corporations. Mm-hmm. Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos, ABC News, United Healthcare, all of these things are corporations. And in the United States of America, corporations can receive welfare from the government with zero criticism from the American public. But if somebody's on food stamps, mm-hmm. if somebody needs government assistance, if somebody gets their highly predatory student loans forgiven, the right loses their mind. We have been taught, not you and me, not our listener, but America at large, to value unrestricted, unregulated capitalism above and beyond everything. And they have big Christians involved in that. And I think that's a whole industry. The big megachurch, the Catholics, they have a shit ton of money. They're involved in this. They're just like a corporation, more like a pyramid scheme, but they have the wealth. So you have all of these very, very wealthy entities that have all bent the knee to Trump. But it doesn't surprise me that legacy media has done this because, number one, they make a lot more money when he is at the helm. And number two, a lot of these people on these shareholder boards, they don't give a shit about the people that listen to the news. They don't care about the truth any longer. Jeff Bezos would not allow his editorial board to endorse Kamala Harris because he wanted to be able to kiss Trump's ass. Because you know what Jeff Bezos did when he started Amazon? He tried to start it on an Indian reservation to avoid paying federal taxes. So this group of oligarchs want their own set of rules. They've always wanted their own set of rules, their own non-existent tax bracket. They've just never been able to find somebody that bent all the way. The Democrats bent some of the way for them. The rhinos, Republicans bent some of the way for them. Trump will bend all the way over for them. And so they're ecstatic about this.
You know what I just can't understand, and I know we've talked about it until we're all blue in the face, is the oligarchy that is now in America, that is now controlling the next administration. The people that voted for Trump in droves were the working class. And I do not understand how they believed their interests would be better served by the MAGA party. I know we've talked about it forever. I just can't wrap my head around it.
It's the fear that, I mean, he scares them to death with the immigrants, but you know these people. I mean, you know the typical Republican mindset. These people are indoctrinated to not use critical thinking. They're indoctrinated to worship capitalism and Jesus as the same entities. I mean, you know this. I mean, we live in Oklahoma. We know exactly why these people vote for him. He caters to their most animalistic impulses, everything that you as a person, as a thinking person, want to kind of suppress and resolve and find enlightenment on. Trump says, oh, no, you don't have to do that. You get to be a dick. You get to be, completely untethered to rational thought.
Yeah, women should stay home and cook. Immigrants, they're the bad guy. Drag queens, gay people, trans people, they're the bad guys.
Let's not forget the racism. I mean, that's
the racism.
I mean, so many people that I know, especially rural America, that vote for Trump are inherently racist. Here's just some anecdotal evidence. There's a couple of girls that went to a rural town because their mother got a job in a rural town at a school. These are Black basketball players, high school students, athletes. They always went to an inner city school. Now they're in this, probably 30 minutes outside of Oklahoma City. They've been called the N-word about 25 times. And so this racism in rural America, and it doesn't just stop in rural America, it's a lot of suburban America that regularly uses the N-word. And white people know this, and they don't talk about it. They apologize for it. They hide it. And this Trump ascension, to me, 90% of it is racism.
Yeah, they say it's about the price of eggs, but at the end of the day, a black female just wouldn't fit the bill because whites are better than everybody else in their sphere. And so many people believe it. I mean, it's hard to wrap my head around. One thing that really bothered me this weekend, and I like to be petty as much as the next person, but I do expect the president-elect and the president of the United States to have more decorum and be able to rise above the fray more. But that was ruined with Trump. I mean, it went down. We started ruling the world on Twitter. We started making shitty, hateful comments. But so over the weekend, Donald Trump, which everybody just put in your mind a picture of his physique. And he posts a picture, because of all the New Jersey drone stuff, of Chris Christie eating McDonald's and drones dropping McDonald's all over him, indicating how fat Chris Christie was and all he does is eat. And I'm just like, first of all, that is so beneath the office of the president.
We're so far past that.
I know, but it still bothers me.
This is the shiny object that they put out there so that we are sitting here talking about some stupid meme. Meanwhile, literal racists are taking over the federal government. Christian nationalists are taking over the federal government. They are going to fleece the American public more and more. The transfer of wealth, just since he won, before he's been sworn in, Elon Musk has made $200 billion. And we're sitting here talking about Chris Christie and some meme. I mean, we have 10 years of him doing this shit. I refuse to be roped into this Trump bullshit where he tries to rope everybody into his kindergarten games that he plays on the internet while real human suffering is happening. He is a piece of shit. He was a piece of shit when he came down the escalators. He's always going to be a piece of shit. He's always going to be immature. He's always going to be the lowest hanging fruit on the internet. That will never change. What needs to change is everybody's reaction to it. Say, yeah, that's what he does because that's who he is. But guess what? His BFF just made $200 billion, who also happens to play patty cake with Vladimir Putin 24/7, 365. So no, we're not talking about his bullshit on Twitter. What we're going to talk about is how corrupt he is, how breathtakingly corrupt this man is, and how he is shifting even more money from the working class to these billionaires and saying basically, fuck you to the American public. That's my problem.
Well, it's just so gross. I just hate it so much. I agree with you 150%. We've got to stop chasing the bright, shiny object. I think you're 100% right. But it's just so, I can't even believe it. I still can't wrap my head around.
I can believe it because he's shown us, and that's the problem. People don't believe him. So they keep voting for him. I believe every single thing that he does. I believe that he's a piece of shit. I believe that he talks behind people's back. I believe all of the horrible things about him because he has shown me exactly who he is. And I will not be in willful denial about it. I will not sit here and clutch my pearls. Oh my God, Trump sent a tweet where he was mean to Chris Christie. Well, of course he did. I'm 0% shocked. It is this assumption politics that we assume the president of the United States is going to be a decent person.
Right.
He is not a decent person. We assume they're not going to overturn Roe v. Wade. They are going to overturn Roe v. Wade. We assume they're not going to try to ban abortion pills. They just filed in Texas. There was a New York doctor that prescribed abortion pills to somebody in Texas. Dipshit Kim Paxton is already trying to march that out to the Supreme Court. So I'm not going to assume they're not going to do this stuff anymore. I'm going to assume they're always going to do this stuff. And that's where the American public, especially people like you and I that analyze this, we have to accept him for exactly who he is and who he has shown us to be, which is a total evil piece of shit. That's the end of it. I mean, we can't be in shock and awe anymore because then that's on us for not believing what our ears hear and what our eyes see. because we are intelligent enough to decipher that this guy is corrupt and he's a total piece of shit.
So then we have the Canadian MP, Charlie Angus, who had his comments on Trump and his incoming administration.
We're not going to be slapped around like this. I think there's a tradition in Canada of not wanting to be openly confrontive, which is fair. I think that's who we are. But Donald Trump's a different kind of animal. He's playing for the rage algorithms. And I don't think we should allow him that free reign. So for me, it was really simple, standing up and saying, no, we're going to have tough negotiations, fair play. But this kind of dismissive, idiotic behavior, I mean, he's a juvenile, and I invite Donald Trump, come up anytime in the winter, Donald, try and drive our roads, try and win an argument with any woman in Canada, try and take us on anything where we are very comfortable at. We're pretty tough and resilient people.
This is exactly it. He is not shocked. He is not, oh my God, can you believe that he did this? He's like, this guy's a juvenile. He rage baits the algorithm. And that's exactly what he does. And we need to state it crystal clear and quit clinging on to some notion that the American presidency is some decent office anymore. It's not. Sadly, tens of millions of Americans do not care about this man's moral depravity. I mean, he is literally a horrible person, and they like it. They like how he talks about people with melanin in their skin. They dig it. They like it. It's like watching porn. When he puts out that Chris Christie tweet, I bet a lot of the people that saw it themselves are obese. They like it. It's like porn to him. It's like porn to these people. You know these people, when they watch Fox News, it is full blown like a drug, like they're watching porn. They dig it. They like the cruelty. They like the name calling. They like the pettiness. And that's a problem beyond Trump that we have to deal with, how stupid half of the American public is. But I'll leave that to, other people besides us to try to reconcile.
It's going to be a long time before that's able to be reconciled.
Okay, we'll see you guys later.
It's so entertaining. Tap the vein.
All right, so there is a problem here where I guess, how the courts will interpret what rape is. And it's not the same in every fucking state, by the way, okay? So Trump is just walking on a very fine line here, okay, between being called a sexual batterer and being called a rapist. Okay, to me, I don't see the difference, and most Americans won't either. Okay, but in that court, there's a difference, and on that difference, Trump is trying to argue, you shouldn't have said I was a rapist. I'm a sexual batterer. Oh, like that's any better. The very notion that ABC couldn't win that fight is ridiculous. There's no fucking way that, I think what it is, they just didn't want to spend the money. They didn't want to spend, months and months and months, fighting this fight where they could have won, but it would have cost them millions and millions of fucking dollars to fight Trump in court. And Trump, I don't know why they want to give him respect because, now he's going to be president. Fuck the guy. He don't respect anybody. Why should you don't even respect the country he's going to be president of? Does he deserve our respect? Of course he doesn't. I don't care if he's emperor of the universe. I'm going to still spit on his face if I see him. Okay? I don't care. If you want respect, you got to earn it. And Trump never earned anyone's respect, except he got loyalty from a bunch of fucking fanatics, okay? That's not respect, okay? Whatever you want to think, that isn't respect. These people can turn on him on a dime if their lives are upended by him. Okay, the thing of it is he doesn't deserve respect, and the judgment against him, against the Eugene Carroll case. Okay, that right there is truth, and he doesn't like that, and he thinks, he in some way he can erase that. No, it can't. It's always going to be on his fucking record that he was convicted of a sexual battery, okay? And what I call is a rape. In any other fucking state, it'd be called a rape, okay? He's a rapist. And if you don't like hearing that, tough, okay? Because that is what it is. You know, you think women want to be battered sexually? Of course not. That's you know, what woman would submit to that? Nobody, unless a woman's completely out of her fucking mind. Okay, like that one there that had sex with 100 men there, or whatever hell, on OnlyFans. Okay, same fucking thing. She didn't want that. He did it on her. You know what I'm saying? I consider that rape. That is a rape. And if you know, ABC is uncertain about their stand against him, you know, on that, I mean, then who the hell are they? I mean, what, you know, they're supposed to be fucking news. They're supposed to have all the facts, right? You know, and the fact they wouldn't stand up for George Stephanopoulos, you know, what kind of a fucking news outfit is that? They kissed the fucking ring. They bent over backwards. They gave Trump, you know, the means to, you know, go around and brag that, oh, see, I'm not a rapist because I settled with ABC. You know, he'll just take that narrative and blow it up into a big lie, and MAGA will suck that up, you know, and they'll just think that's true. Okay, when the facts are, that's on his fucking record. You know, the White House is now a place where a sexual predator lives. He needs to be on that list there, people that are sexual predators. Okay? He's a sex offender, you know. His name should be in it. And to think that we have a president now, a criminal, more ways than just one, okay? Convicted on 34 counts, you know, in that other case. But, you know, he's a criminal all the way around. And MAGA's okay with that. Goes to show you what kind of brains they are. When, you know, they don't give a shit about who's the president as long as there's an R next to his name or her name. Okay? Somebody's predicted and said Republicans will have the first woman president. It'll be from a Republican party, but she won't really be the president. She'll just be the puppet while the men behind her control the strength. I'm thinking, yeah, that would be the only way a Republican female would actually be president, is if she was submitting to the men that you know, everyone else behind her. Okay, but whether or not the first woman president will come from that end of the aisle, I don't know. Okay, but it certainly would make them feel better to know that, oh, she's the face of the presidency, but we control the face. Okay, it's still a man's world, and we're still going to control things, okay? As where with the Democrats, you know, they ain't going to trust a woman from the Democrat Party to be president because she's going to want those strings cut when she gets in there. And that scares the living shit out of men, you know, in Washington, on both sides of the political aisle, okay? Always remember that. Just because, you know, Trump talks this racist shit doesn't mean it's only Republican men that do this shit. There's Democrats men that do the same goddamn thing, yet they call themselves Democrat. I wish those fucking people would get the hell out of the party because, you know, a lot of them are what's, you know, holding up a lot of progress here. You know, they got a home on the other side, and that's where they ought to be. I don't give a fuck where they stand economically speaking, but, you know, the fact that, you know, we have Democrats that are just as bigoted as Republicans, you know. But, you know, the thing is that, you know, when the news agencies roll over when Trump comes a calling, okay, as they say, that goes to show you that, you know, our media is really fucked. You can't really trust what you hear off of there anymore. You know, I mean, look what they did with Dan Rather years ago. I mean, that was a big sign right there that politics has their claws too deep in our fucking press in this country. All right? He was trying to point out a fucking flaw with Bush, and, you know, they trashed him and the story, and, you know, and CBS basically, you know, say, okay, we got to let you go. You know, we got to, you know, they wouldn't even stand up for the guy. And so we have this here going on, where ABC is going to pay out $15 million. Well, you know what? They deserve it. You know, if they wouldn't stand up for what Stephanopoulos said, which is true, Trump is a rapist, okay? I don't give a shit what the court called it. Okay, they're just, like that lady said in the video, they're just splitting fucking hairs, okay? But the cause of the definition of what Trump did is considered a rape. It would have been considered a rape if the person wasn't named Donald Trump, right? If it was a Joe Blow off the fucking streets, okay? Everybody would have called it rape, and they wanted to crucify him. But because it's Donald Trump, no, he's the prince of the country here. We can't have him have a rapist attached to his name. Sexual batterer sounds better, right? Okay, you know, but it's crazy that, you know, that this happened at ABC, you know. But like I said, I don't really watch television news that much anymore. Okay, I get clips, I read articles, you know, I do things like that. Okay, you know, it's like a buffet with me. I get a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over here, okay? But I don't just eat one fucking thing on the damn menu. I don't get it all in one place. And if you're smart, neither will you, okay? The days of the fucking, you know, evening news, 6 o'clock news and all that, those days are gone, people. What you're getting there is just entertainment. Even your local news is just entertainment, by and large, okay? That's all they're going to talk about. You're not really going to be enlightened on anything. Okay? I mean, I bet a lot of you people have been hearing a ton of shit about the drone incidents going on in this country, while everything else that's more important than that has been coming and going in the press. You wouldn't even know about it unless you got online and you started reading things on there. Okay? Because how much news can they give you in 30 minutes? You know, your local news is 30 minutes, and after that's national news, 30 minutes. You get an hour of news. An hour of news is not a... and the way they edit half of that shit as they give it to you, I mean, come on. They filter a lot of stuff out. You're only getting a slanted view of it. You're wasting your time. You want to hear real stories, you want to see the whole story, you're going to have to read. Okay, you have to put aside the fucking TV, shut the fucking thing off, put your remote away, and read. Read your newspaper in the morning. Read the smaller articles in there that they try to bury. Read all that stuff. That's what you got to do. You try to teach your kids to do that, to stay aware of your fucking world. When I was in school, they used to try to get kids to read the newspaper. And they'd, come to class and they'd ask you, well, anyone see anything interesting in the news? They want to get a discussion, make people interested in things. Well, that's what people got to do. Get your kids, their heads out of the goddamn video games and the fucking internet. Put a newspaper in front of them and say, pick an article on there and read it, and then we're going to discuss it after. Okay? Sit the kids around at the table and discuss what they read. Get them invested in what's going on in the world. Don't just settle for scraps that the fucking TV news gives you. The journalists today are just a bunch of money hogs. I mean, they're only there for their pretty face and their voice and stuff like that. But that's all they're there for. Okay? I mean, look how they question Trump. They throw him softball questions and they don't challenge his answers. None of these people would qualify for 60 Minutes, okay? Because these people don't do any investigative reporting, and they don't challenge, these people's truths when they hear them. You can't be a journalist if you're not going to be inquisitive. I mean, I watched a 60 Minutes Australia, because they have 60 Minutes in Australia. It's their version, and they had one of their reporters talking to Fergie, Duchess Fergie there. And he asked her some questions, and she started to get ugly about it. She didn't want to talk about things in there. And I'm thinking, that's what we got to be doing here again, okay? When we question people, we got to fucking put the fire under their ass, okay? That's what 60 Minutes here used to be like when it started. And I remember, morally safer, and the others on there. You know, I remember those guys when it started back then, okay? And they would go and interview people that were, you know, criminals, crooks, you know, terrorists. I mean, and they wouldn't hold back the punches. There were no softball questions. They would get these people, you know, to talk. But it was to inform us at home. You know, let us see who these people are. So there's no illusion being sent around that, oh, these are nice people. Because when the press stops doing that, okay, then the other side will come in there and they can create a whole new narrative, and you're not going to have anything to counter what they're telling you because the press is asleep at the wheel, okay? So we need to have hard-hitting reporters, you know, and we can't allow these people to sue the press because of a report, unless that report is completely false. In this case, it wasn't, okay? He called it like he saw it. Rapist. That's exactly what it is, okay? And ABC News could have won that case if they'd have fought this thing, but they didn't want to fight it, and it was because of fucking money. They didn't want this to go on and on and on and on for fucking months, okay? That's what this is, because they know, you know, Trump's unlimited well here of money, and he's got friends that'll keep pumping money into his ass, okay? So, you know, Disney telling ABC News to back off, okay? No, Christ, he's got more money than fucking Disney, for Christ's sake. I mean, think about that. You know, why did he need donations? Why was he selling shit to get money for his campaign? The guy didn't need a dime. He could have ran that damn campaign all on his own, and he still would have won. And you know, I'm just saying. But all these suckers, they kept giving him money. You know, he took all their hard-earned money that they sweated for at their job, and he blew it. You know, on legal fees, and blew it on making crap to sell people, and you know what I'm saying? Overpriced crap. Jeez, them fucking MAGA hats. You know, made in China. You know, MAGA, you know, it's such a contradictory, you know, make America great again. America has yet to be great. We've had great moments in America, okay, but we haven't reached the apex of what we could really be in the world. And thanks to the Republican Party, they've weighted us down for many, many decades to keep us from rising above ourselves. Now they got us right back in the sewer, and they're trying to beat the hell out of us, you know, at the same time setting fire to the country around us, okay? That's what they've done. So this is not great. This is not the greatness here that most Americans want to see. To MAGA, I don't know. They'll still bitch anyway. No matter what you give them, they're still going to complain. And I just feel like, you know, you can't please people like that ever. You know, you can give them welfare, you can give them free money, you can give them all kinds of shit, but they'll still turn around and vote for Trump because Trump tells them, oh, the country sucks. It's the worst place it's ever been in ever. Okay, and it's like, well, it is if you get in office and you start doing your thing. It certainly was bad under you the first time around, but for some reason, when Biden got in there, you know, practically within a year, he managed to turn things around here, you know. And Christ, I mean, you know, I doubt Trump is ever going to be able to match that ever, you know. And I just found out somebody. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find this article. Yeah, right here. I saw this on the internet here, but I'm going to read this here. It says this is from Daily News. This is like yesterday. Representative Sparks won't caucus with the GOP, narrowing Republican margin in the House. A maverick Republican congresswoman says she won't caucus with the party, narrowing the already slim GOP margin in the House of Representatives to as little as just one vote, and potentially making it more difficult to enact President-elect Donald Trump's agenda. Representative Victoria Spartz, Republican from Indiana, tweeted that she will focus on the budget-cutting effort of the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, or otherwise known as DOGE, and won't accept any committee assignments from the Republican leadership. Quote, "I do not need to be involved in circuses. I would rather spend more of my time helping save our republic, as was mandated by the American people," unquote, Spartz said. If the independent-minded suburban Indianapolis lawmaker means what she says, it could reduce the Republican edge in seats won in the 2024 election to just 219 compared to 215 for Democrats. The ugly GOP math is even worse than it seems because scandal-tarred ex-Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican from Florida, already resigned his seat and has said he won't rejoin the new Congress in January. Two more lawmakers, Representative Elise Stefanik, Republican from New York, and Representative Mike Waltz, Republican from Florida, are expected to step down after Trump takes office on January the 20th, because they are expected to be confirmed to cabinet posts. That means House Speaker Mike Johnson could find himself with just a 216-215 edge for at least several weeks until special elections can be held for what he hopes will be Republican replacements to take up those vacancies. His plight could be eased somewhat if any Democrats leave Congress. Representative Jared Moskowitz, Democrat from Florida, is said to be under consideration to lead Trump's Federal Emergency Management Agency, which would reduce the Democrat caucus to 214. The narrow majority will likely make it very difficult for Johnson to pass even the spending bills needed to keep the government running, which are considered to be the bare minimum for the House. It's far from clear that Johnson will be able to push through Trump's sweeping plans for a massive and costly crackdown on undocumented immigrants and new tax cuts for corporations and the rich. In the past 2 years, Johnson was forced to turn to Democrats to secure enough votes to pass spending bills and even to allow him to keep the Speaker's gavel. That's because small groups of right-wing Republicans are bitterly opposed to spending bills in general and compromising with moderates on costly issues like aid and subsidies for farmers. Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries was willing to play ball with Johnson while President Biden was in the White House, but he's unlikely to lend a helping hand now that Trump is in charge. So, you got that going. You got divisions in the Republican Party cropping up, and, they're losing their grip in Congress. So it's going to be almost impossible. I'm not going to say definitely, but almost impossible for Republicans to be able to get anything done in Congress, because I don't think they can really depend on every Republican, because you still have moderate Republicans in there. The leftovers from the old GOP. Okay, you still got some people in there who are not going to want to see Trump rip the country apart. And if they have to go and side with the Democrats for a time, then they will. So we're going to see a do-nothing Congress, I think, for a while. And Trump is probably going to be using the executive authority thing quite a bit while he's president. And you can forget about challenging that, and go crying to the Supreme Court, because you know where that's going to go, right? So it's going to make his job more difficult, but not impossible. Okay, just difficult. I think this woman here that this story was about, I wouldn't put so much weight on her maintaining her position, because she's Ukraine. She's from Ukraine, and she's been at odds with Biden, and she's said things that wasn't, what I'm saying. She's really kind of a weird kind of congresswoman from things that I've read about her and saw her on in the internet and stuff. So somebody might give her enough money to change her mind. I could see that happening, and all of a sudden she'll be completely a 180 on everybody. So anyway, that's, that was something I, wanted to add here while I'm talking about, this thing about the media. But like I said, ABC could have fought that and won it. It had taken the time, could have taken money, but they could have won it, okay? Because most Americans take the phrase sexual battery to mean rape, okay? Most people outside of that state of New York, whatever, where, are not going to really understand the difference between the two. They just know that, hey, if you batter somebody sexually, that is rape. Because, when you say you beat somebody up sexually, that also means they didn't consent to it. Because otherwise it wouldn't be considered rape. I mean, a battery, right? It would just, it just wouldn't be. Why would they be complaining about it, right? If they didn't want it. So, anyway, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So subscribe, comment, share, and keep your ears open for health issues out there. And be careful out there shopping and driving around. And try to enjoy the weather if it's good where you are. And I'll talk to you guys later. So you all take care out there.